Since I started my decluttering journey, I've decluttered over 600 items. I decluttered books, CDs, clothes, ornaments, photos, all sorts of things. And for all of those 600 plus items, I've learned some valuable lessons about the decluttering process, and I'm going to share those with you today. The first lesson is that decluttering is a lifelong process. At the beginning of my decluttering journey, I thought that I needed to declutter everything all at once and that I would get that done and that would be it. However, over time, my views about some of the things I didn't declutter have changed, and I've actually ended up decluttering those items a little later down the line. And I've realized through the decluttering process that we change. Our views about the items we have change over time. The things that I feel are important, that I value, that I want to get good use out of, that won't necessarily stay the same throughout my life. So for example, I had certain items of clothing in my wardrobe that I didn't declutter a few months ago, but now we're a few months ahead, I've come back to those items and I've decluttered some of them because I've realized that actually I don't really want these things. They're not things that I feel good in anymore, so it's time to get rid of them. So when you embark on your decluttering process, just realize that it's not a one and done deal. It's something you do throughout your life, because we're not going to be the same people 5 years from now or even 5 months from now. And so the items that we feel we need in our lives are likely to change. The next lesson I learned is that pressure is unproductive. I've heard some minimalists say that if you're unsure about decluttering an item, that means you should just get rid of it. However, I found that putting pressure on myself to declutter items that I wasn't sure of made the decluttering process really unenjoyable and stressful. I also felt a lot of guilt. So if I decided to keep something I was unsure of because I just didn't feel comfortable getting rid of it, I'd feel a lot of guilt about that. I'd feel like somehow I wasn't getting decluttering right, I was failing at it. But once I realized that I didn't need to make a decision there and then, I could put these unsure items away for a period of time, give myself time to think about them, and then come back to them at a later date. That really helped to take the pressure off, and coming back to those items a month or so later was a very different experience. It helped me to get clearer about the things that actually I did want to keep. I felt okay doing that, and then there were items that I thought, yeah, now I've had time to think about it and I've not had those items around, I've realized that I don't have any use for them. The next lesson I learned is that items might be for certain seasons, and I don't just mean clothes, but let's take clothes as an example. I have some jumpers in my wardrobe that I wear in winter, but I don't wear them in summer. That doesn't mean I should declutter them because I'm gonna wear them in winter. However, if it's a jumper that I haven't worn in some time, for example a few years, then it might be time to ask myself whether I do actually want to keep that or whether it's time to declutter it. Aside from clothes, another example I can give is exercise gear. You might have had a season in your life where, for example, running was something that you got into. I had a certain period in my life where I really got into running. I bought lots of running gear and equipment, and it was my passion for a good couple of years. But now my interest has moved over to weight training. That is my passion, and it has been for the last 6 or 7 years. So I don't run anymore. I don't need the running paraphernalia that I have. That season of my life has passed, so it's a good time to donate them or sell them or just get rid of them. And maybe what happens is we feel we might want to hold on to those things in case that desire to do that thing comes back. And I don't think it's a bad thing to wait and see for a period if you do become interested in that thing again. But I did wait for my interest in running to come back, and it didn't. It was clearly time for me to get rid of my running gear. The next lesson I learned is that the cost of items is important, kind of. So some of the items I decluttered had been very expensive at the time I bought them. They were used so little that the cost per usage was really high. So if you want something, or if you have something that was expensive, I don't necessarily think that's a problem so much as how much use you get out of the item. For example, I bought some shoes a few years ago that for me that was pretty expensive for a pair of shoes, but I wear them 5 days a week to work and they are still going strong. That justifies the cost of those shoes. Whereas I bought some rather expensive boots a few years ago and I've worn those a handful of times. So that is not a good investment. So I need to think about whether I donate them, sell them, or I actually make a real effort to wear them more. The next lesson I learned is that letting go is the most difficult bit. This is just my experience, so take it for what you will. But in every single item that I've decluttered where the letting go has been particularly difficult, I've never once felt an ounce of regret once I've decluttered the item. The letting go was really uncomfortable, really emotional at times. But once the item had gone, it wasn't taking up my mental space anymore. It was actually really liberating that I could just forget about it. And I do think that if we can change the way we think about our stuff, we can get better at the process of letting go. And if you want to find out more about a philosophy that can help you to do just this, then check out the video that's on the screen. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.